So earlier last month, when Jamal Murray got injured, I really thought this Nuggets team probably was going to take a big step back due to just how well Murray's been playing ever since the NBA bubble last season. But surprisingly enough, this Nuggets team has managed to stay afloat, and today we're going to take a look at this Nuggets team and talk about exactly why that's been the case. What's up guys, SCJ here, and if you enjoyed today's video, then make sure to give it a like as it helps out a lot, and if you're new to the channel and or enjoy the NBA, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. So I don't really like to talk about the same teams over and over again, because with my breakdowns and the style of videos I do, it'll mostly feel like I'm just regurgitating the same stats and talking points over and over. But with this Nuggets team, there's a bit of a different situation now compared to my last Nuggets video due to the fact that they've had to deal with the loss of their second best player ever since then. Back on April 12th, the Denver Nuggets starting guard Jamal Murray suffered a torn ACL in his left knee, and he would get surgery on April 21st. That meant that he would be out for the remainder of this season. Despite the fact that this was a major injury for this team and it was big news just in terms of the entire NBA, the Nuggets haven't seemed to be affected by Murray's injury whatsoever, as they have continued rolling along and have now won 9 of their last 10 games ever since Murray suffered the injury to his left ACL. Over these last 10 games also, this team has really dominated the NBA, at least statistically. In their 10 games following the injury to Jamal Murray, the Denver Nuggets have put up the 4th most points per game and have done that on the 3rd best shooting percentage in the entire NBA over said time span. The team hasn't done a great job of shooting the long ball since Murray's injury, which kinda should be expected with how well he was playing, but they've been excellent when they've gotten to the free throw stripe, as they have shot the 2nd best percentage from the line of any team over their last 10 games. The team has also done a pretty good job of sharing the ball, as they've averaged the 8th most assists over this time span, as well as blocked the 4th most shots of any team in the league, and they've still played efficiently since Murray went down, as they've averaged the 3rd highest plus-minus rating over this stretch. In terms of the defensive side of things, the Nuggets have been solid in a number of different areas, but they really haven't dominated in the same way that they have in terms of their traditional stats. In terms of where they've played well, the Nuggets have prevented their opponents from grabbing offensive boards, as their opponents have averaged the 2nd lowest amount of offensive rebounds against them, and the Nuggets have forced their opponents to grab the lowest amount of rebounds overall per game. The Nuggets have also made sure to prevent their opponents from blocking the ball, as their opponents have averaged the 8th lowest amount of blocks per game when they've played the Nuggets. And despite the fact that the Nuggets opponents have averaged the 13th lowest point total against them, just around middle of the pack in terms of that stat, Denver has really forced their opponents to play inefficient basketball, as their opponents have averaged the 3rd lowest plus-minus rating in the league ever since Jamal Murray's injury. Then wrapping up the numbers with their specific defensive stats, the Nuggets' defensive rating has been top 10 in the league following Murray's injury, as they have held the 9th best rating in that regard. The Nuggets also have not been too great in any of the other defensive areas, but they have excelled in preventing second chance points from their opponents, as they have averaged the 6th lowest amount of second chance points given up to their opponents in that area. So the Nuggets defense has been decent over this stretch, but nothing really too eye-popping, and we're going to actually come back to that later in this video. In terms of the specific stats their players are putting up, let's first talk about MVP candidate and current frontrunner according to NBA writers, Nikola Jokic. Jokic has really been efficient in making NBA history this season, and last night he continued to follow that trend as he put up 30 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists, and had no turnovers, making it the 3rd 30, 10, and 5 game of his career without turnovers, meaning he's tied Spurs legend David Robinson for the most by a center since 1985. Another crazy stat that he had over this recent stretch came this past Wednesday against the Pelicans, when Jokic put up 32 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks, making him the first Nuggets player since small forward Alex English all the way back in 1984 to put up a stat line like that. So safe to say that the Joker has been a big reason as to why this Nuggets team has continued to roll on without Murray. The next guy we need to talk about is Nuggets second-year player Michael Porter Jr., as he's been a big reason for the team's success as of late as well. Ever since Murray's injury, Porter Jr. has gone to another level, as he's averaged 25.6 points per game on insane shooting splits of 57% from the field, 51% from 3, and 83% from the free throw stripe. He's also averaged 6.7 rebounds, 1.6 assists, as well as 1.4 blocks per game, which of course are very good numbers. Beyond just his numbers as of late, MPJ has made NBA history as the only second-year player to average 15 points and either 5 rebounds or 5 assists per game on shooting percentages of 50% from the field and 40% from three-point range. So even though his numbers from the beginning part of this tweet have changed since then and they have risen, his shooting percentages and this stat are still accurate. So it's probably safe to say this Nuggets team might have gotten the biggest steal of the 2018 NBA draft at pick number 14 with just how well Porter Jr. has played so far in his 2 seasons with the Nuggets. So this Nuggets team has really played solid basketball this season, and even during this stretch following Murray's injury like we talked about, and as of right now, they're currently in the 3rd seed in the Western Conference with 8 games left for them to play this season. However, this team does have their flaws like I mentioned earlier in this video, and I want to bring up some of the things that could really be the team's downfall in the 2021 NBA playoffs, especially now with Murray's season-ending injury. Like mentioned before, the Nuggets haven't shot that well from beyond the arc, as they've shot the 12th worst percentage from three-point range as of late. The team also hasn't been great with turnovers and steals, as they've been nearly middle of the pack in terms of most turnovers, and they've grabbed the 13th least amount of steals of any team as of late. The Nuggets opponents have also managed to shoot the 11th best field goal percentage against them and get the 8th most assists per game against them as opposed to any other team in the league. 2 other areas where the Nuggets have had their fair share of issues lately is on fast breaks and in the paint. The Nuggets have given up the 3rd highest point total in fast breaks over their last 10 games, as well as the 13th most points in the paint as of late as well. So despite the really great offensive numbers that we've seen in most areas from this team, this Nuggets team has definitely had their fair share of flaws ever since Murray has gone down. What I will say to finish this video though is that the Nuggets are a really tough matchup for whoever they face in the 2021 NBA playoffs, and despite their flaws, they've still been able to put up a number of great stats in a number of different statistical areas, and even though their competition hasn't been insanely tough lately, they've still played some good teams and have managed to handle their business and get things done regardless of who they've had to face, and that to me is a great mentality for a team to have going into the playoffs. So I'm not sure if we'll still see this team have what it takes to get past the second round with Jamal Murray now being out, but this is still a very good team, and one team that other Western Conference playoff teams need to make sure they get ready to play when the playoffs begin later this month. Anyway though guys, I want to know what you guys have thought about this Nuggets team's level of play ever since Murray's injury, their players' level of play this season, or anything having to do with the team down below in the comments section. Like mentioned before though, if you like this video then make sure to give it a like as it helps out a lot, and if you're new to the channel and or enjoy the NBA, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell, that way you stay up to date with my newest content. Anyway though guys, I'm SCJ and I am out. Peace.